Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Astrology Today and Tarot. My name is Mel Rose. This is the Tarot portion and the second half of my daily astrology vlog, which you can check out on my other channel, Astrology Today with Mel Rose. Over there, you'll find a description of the day's astrology as I have spelled it out here. Here, I'm going to discuss the tarot card that sits on the side of the page, and then I will play another card that, given the context of the day's astrology, may give us something more to think about. So let's get into it. The card that sits on the side of the page is the Four of Swords. And the Four of Swords is here because astrologically it relates to the last 10 days or the third decan of the sun's transit in the land of Libra. So the wheel goes in this direction. You can see that the sun has traveled almost all the way through Libra now. So that's how we come to the Four of Swords. Libra is an air sign, and swords and tarot are air element symbolism. And air element symbolism is about the intellect, the rationale, and sort of how we use our thoughts, our words, the plans that we make. Often being reminded that we can use our thoughts, our words, and our plans to help or to do harm. So we have to be careful when we're wielding that sword, right? And this brings us to the Four of Swords. The Four of Swords represents a time of respite, of healing, of meditation, a time, perhaps we've been hurt or perhaps we're just exhausted and we've been through a lot. We've got to retreat a little bit, spend some time in solitude, think about ourselves, get back in touch with who we really are, get back in touch with our relationship to nature, the world, spirit. And, it's also a good time to think about, what we've learned about ourselves in terms of what our limitations are, and knowing what our limitations are, also noticing what we are empowered to do, what we can do, what our powers are, okay? So it's a good time to give some consideration to that. It's really a good time just to be in retreat. And, hopefully maybe some of you have taken at least an hour or two of retreat or a day or a weekend, and just give yourself some quiet time, give yourself some time to reconnect with yourself and really think about what where you've been and where you're going, right? And so the other thing that comes in for me with this card is often like waiting for communication, waiting for news, waiting for information or data to come in. So, some of us perhaps might be in that position where we're waiting for something. And, the reminder here is to remain calm, okay? To think about it, to keep it in our consideration, but not to be overly worried about it, right? Just be cool, Fonzies. Have a cool attitude. Give yourself an arm's distance from that thing that you're waiting on until it comes in. Just have a little faith, okay? And it will come to you. And with that said, I'm going to go ahead and shuffle these a little bit more because I forgot. But thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate your presence. I'm so happy to see that our group is growing. And, if you want to, I would appreciate it if you want to make a comment and just let me know where you're coming from and what brings you to tarot and astrology. I love hearing from y'all. Okay, so with that said, I'm going to go ahead and turn this card. It's not the Ace of Wands. I love the Ace of Wands. Don't get me wrong. It's just come up like maybe 7 times lately here. And, I feel, again, like I'm repeating myself. And I really don't like repeating myself a lot. So, this is the Judgment card. It is a major arcana card. It's a big message card. And it's something that comes in sort of toward the end of our journey, okay? This is the point where we've learned our lessons. We have sort of completed our journey or come almost to the completion of our journey. And we're pretty much practically new people at this time, right? We're ready to become new people. We have been this same person forever and ever, and now we're ready to sort of wake up and become renewed. Judgment is about resurrection. This is a very Christian theme here. But it's not just a Christian theme. It is a theme that is echoed through the ages of of religion and mythology, that we have a life after we die. And, I relate that more to what happens during our lives than whatever may happen after we die, because I don't think that anybody can say. But in our lives, we go through a lot of endings and beginnings, and sometimes you've been the same person for so long that you just come to a point where you change. You don't engage in the habits that you did before, and you don't engage in relationships with other people the way you did before, and you don't even relate to yourself the way you did before, and you don't see yourself the way you did before. Okay, so we are renewed at this time, and it's sort of under the blessing of spirit, under the blessing of that which is bigger than us and cannot really be explained. But it's a good feeling to be sort of renewed. It can be a very confusing feeling at the time, okay? It can feel rather sudden, even though this has been years, perhaps even decades in the making, all right? It can feel rather sudden to be going through this change. But understand that the judgment doesn't really come from an angel on high. We may perceive it in that way, but that angel is actually, sort of our own better angels, right? It's the part of us that, that sees who we are, who sees what we've been through, who sees how we have behaved, how we have comported ourselves, right? And, that's the part of us that, that also tells us how we're doing, right? Like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. Don't you feel terribly guilty? Or hey, I feel pretty good about the thing I just did, and I'm feeling pretty great about the way things are going for myself. The judgment is the way you talk to yourself about how your life is going, right? And so this judgment is how we talk to ourselves about, the path that has led us to this point of renewal where we are right now. So, allow yourself to be honest with yourself, okay? To be really clear with yourself, but understand that honesty doesn't have to be brutality, right? We don't have to be brutally honest with ourselves. That says we have an intention to be brutal, right? Just be compassionate and honest with yourself, very clear about where you've been, about the behaviors maybe you're not so proud of, okay? It's not, the point is not to push them away. The point is to have learned from them, right? To have learned from our mistakes. Also allow yourself just to be really kind to yourself when making those judgments, right? Mix them in, all right? Think about the mitigating circumstances. Like I did this thing that I'm not very proud of, but on the other hand, I was in a really stressful and bad situation. And so I'm not proud of it, but I'm also not in that situation anymore, and I'm not likely to act that way again, right? So that's the best way I know to express that. We are in a phase of renewal here. We've actually come to the end of a stretch of things. I was just saying in the other episode that we are at the beginning of the end of the month, the beginning of the end of this season, and the beginning of the end of this year, really, as well as the beginning of the end of the Libra season, which is coming to an end this Sunday. Sun's gonna go into Venus. Okay, so judgment. I've had a lot to say about that already. I see Mercury in opposition to Chiron here, and I see a lot of self-judgment going on there. Just, Chiron talks about the wounds we have healed, the wounds we're trying to heal, especially in areas like social wounds, situations where we have embarrassed ourselves or been embarrassed or humiliated by others, things like that. Mercury is in opposition here, and that creates some tension, a potential for conflict with our sense of the healing that we want to do. And it's Mercury, it's our mind, it's our rationale, it's our logic. Sometimes, here's the thing. Life isn't logical. People aren't logical. Chiron, healing is not necessarily a logical thing. It takes intuition. It takes a little bit more of a broad mind than, this is just how things should work, right? But Mercury very much thinks this is how things should work, especially in this trine thing with Saturn. It's just like, yes, I know how to do this work. I know exactly what I need. And I don't know if it's really this healing journey right here, right? So, you know, be kind to yourself with your intellect at this point, especially, you know, don't let your brain be the bastard that grinds you down, because, you know, it's only one part of your body. It's only one part of your whole self. Okay. We do not originate in our brains, and we do not end in our brains. Okay. You know, we have a heart, we have a gut, we have an intuitive self. And we have a wonderful body that supports us every day in this life. So, you know, pay honor to those things, and don't let your brain be completely in charge, especially if you're struggling with negative self-judgment. And, you know, this is a time to be reflecting and in respite. This is a time to be sort of, you know, doing the meditations and thinking about who you've been and who you want to be, waiting for good information to come in. This does look a little bit like the end of a cycle, right? Like, gosh, that was a lot. I am exhausted. I'm going to lay down here and reassess my condition and get back in touch with myself. And probably when I get up, I'm going to be a little bit older, a little bit wiser, a little bit more mature, a little bit more self-loving, and a little bit more just understanding of the world around me. I believe that's all I have to say about it today, friends. Thank you so much for joining me. I truly appreciate your presence here. My name is Mel Rose, and I'll see you all back here tomorrow for more Astrology Today and Tarot.